This is an assumptions question. The conclusion is that cheaper games and simplified system requirements will reduce independent games' effect on major video game developers' bottom lines. That means profits. The missing link is between the rise of independent video games, indicating that consumers want lower prices and less strenuous system requirements, and the conclusion that cheaper games and simplified system requirements will reduce independent games' effect on major video game developers' profits. Our broad expectation from the correct answer choice is that it should strengthen this conclusion through a valid assumption, which fills the missing link and must be necessarily true for the conclusion to hold. Answer choice A. This answer choice says that reducing system requirements will decline the game's technical capabilities. If this is true, it indicates that simplifying system requirements is likely going to have a negative impact on the mainstream video games, and hence it weakens rather than strengthens the conclusion that it will be a good move for the bottom lines. So let's eliminate this answer choice. Answer choice B. This answer choice says that in the future, the major video game developers will be able to produce video games more cheaply. So basically this answer choice talks about the ability of major video game developers to produce cheap video games. However, this ability doesn't suggest anything about how cheap video games will affect the bottom lines of these game developers. So this answer choice is just operational detail and does not strengthen the conclusion. Also, this answer choice does not have to be true for the conclusion to hold, and so this answer choice cannot be a valid assumption. So let's eliminate this answer choice. Answer choice C. This answer choice says that some gamers who would otherwise buy independent video games would buy mainstream games if the mainstream games cost less and had fewer system requirements. So basically this answer choice indicates that customers actually need cheaper games and games with fewer system requirements, and they are willing to switch to mainstream games if these requirements are met. In that case, it strengthens the conclusion that cheaper games and simplified system requirements will have a positive impact on the bottom lines of major video game developers. Also, this answer choice has to be true for the conclusion to hold, because negating this answer choice would mean that no gamer who would otherwise buy independent video games would buy mainstream games if they cost less and had fewer system requirements. In such a case, it casts doubt on the conclusion that cheaper games and simplified system requirements will alleviate independent games' effect on the bottom lines of major video game developers. So negating this answer choice weakens the conclusion. A good answer choice. Let's keep this on hold. Answer choice D. This answer choice says that if mainstream video game developers make cheaper games and games with lower system requirements, some independent video game makers will stop making games. If this is so, it indicates that there will be less competition for mainstream video games, and hence their bottom lines may have a positive impact. However, this answer choice does not have to be true for the conclusion to hold, because this strategy of cheaper games and simplified system requirements may still have a positive impact on the bottom lines of major video game developers, even if no independent video game developer actually stops making games. That means negating this answer choice does not weaken the conclusion. So this answer choice cannot be a valid assumption. So let's eliminate this answer choice. Answer choice E. This answer choice says that those who buy independent video games know that these games are not produced by a major video game developer. This piece of information doesn't suggest anything about how cheaper games and simplified system requirements will impact the bottom lines of major video game developers. So this answer choice is just additional information and does not strengthen the conclusion. Also, this answer choice does not have to be true for the conclusion to hold. So this answer choice cannot be a valid assumption. So let's eliminate this answer choice. C is the correct answer choice.